the 28th class going into the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame. If you would, turn your attention to the video screen. Our first inductee for this 28th class, the late Jim Waugh. Jim Waugh loved sports, any sport, and he loved being around the student athletes. Whether it was at Rend Lake College or at his alma mater, Jim Waugh cared.
He always wanted to know about the people that were involved with all of the events. He wanted to know where you were from. He wanted to know what your backstory was. He wanted to know what made people tick. And when I think of Jim, that's really what, in my opinion, made him so special. Was he was always trying to find out about you, and just as good a guy as has ever been.
A three-sport athlete at Indiana State in 1956, Waugh would play baseball for a year, and then he'd slow down a bit and play just football and basketball. He earned his degree in physical education and biological science in 1959, and then his master's in physical education. He began his coaching career in 1966, winning 501 basketball games, both in men's and women's at Rend Lake, where he also spent 17 years as their athletic director. Jim moved back to Terre Haute, found himself in a gym, watching the Sycamores, and then watching them while calling games on radio and television. We lost Jim September 4th, 2018, but he is truly with us this evening.
He was the type of guy that didn't want any added attention, so I'm sure he'd be a little shy and embarrassed, even almost to have to go through it, or the people were making trouble for him. But I think he's going to be looking down on this event and just very proud to be considered, very proud to be honored like this, and it's something I wish he was here to share this night with us all, but no one more deserving.
He'd be overwhelmed, and I don't think he could thank enough people. What Indiana State meant to Jim is hard for me to put into words. It was a fabric of his life, and it was very, very special to him. And I know that this is an honor that, he would have really been touched by.
Jim Waugh, his love of sports, the student athletes, and this university guided him to the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Indiana State Athletic Hall of Fame, the late Jim Waugh, and accepting on his behalf is his wife, Lila.
Thank you, thank you. Can't say thank you enough. Jim Waugh, standout athlete, standout husband, standout father, father-in-law, grandfather, cousin, friend, standout Christian. He lived by the motto, you treat others the way you want to be treated. Standout coach. John mentioned in the video that he had 500 wins. You know the stamina it takes to lose enough to get 500 wins? Ask his daughter. His career here at Indiana State was the result of being well coached, by Willard Kurt at Garfield before he came here. And then he so admires Dwayne Clee. And I wish I knew who was in that picture with him. Trying to names. You know, he would be saying tonight, this honor is shared by teammates. Ted Dayhuff, Sam Richardson, goes on and on. The guys he played with. Football teams, stories. John told me I only had 3 minutes tonight, so I can't tell a whole lot of stories. You know, 3 minutes. I was married for 6 decades. That's only 30 seconds per decade. Okay. I'll stick to my stories. I think it was he came here, played football in the fall of '55. I think you could play football as a freshman that year, I'm pretty sure. Somebody will be looking that up on the internet for me, won't they? But then, I don't know whether it was that winter or the next winter that Indiana State played against Cincinnati over there when Oscar Robertson was playing. And Mr. Clee looked at Jim in the locker room and said, "You're guarding Oscar tonight?" And Jim always said his knees went a little jelly at that point. But he bolstered up and did the job, and over the years, as he told that story several times, Oscar got fewer and fewer points. Oh, that's just the way it goes. I also want to tell you a story about Jim being proud of Indiana State, and we need to coach our kids to not to be arrogantly boastful, but just to be plain proud. And so he wore a lot of Indiana State insignia, and I've put some of those on some of the tables tonight because I had a pile of those stick pins, and you're welcome to take those tonight. Wear them. We would be at Grand Canyon and somebody would come up because he had a Indiana State t-shirt on, you know, and of course they would say Larry Bird's school, and he would say, "Yeah, I got it ready for him." But that's a proud heritage also, because Larry made everybody on the floor look good. And that gets to be a coach's dream when a team tries to make everybody on the floor look good. And that got to be Jim's teaching aspirations, as well as his coaching aspirations. And when we came back to Terre Haute and he supervised student teachers, that got to be his wanting to get those management skills into the classroom so that kids bolster up one another. What a wonderful legacy to have go on and on at a school. It's great. Well, I had two things I was going to end this talk with, and I couldn't pick between them, so you're just going to get both. Jim was a big admirer of John Wooden. Do I have this right side up? Yes. He would drive to St. Louis to a basketball clinic just to get recharged, get his candle lit again, didn't he, Kathy? Just, if John Wooden was speaking, it was worth all the time you gave up to sit in that audience. So if you don't remember anything that I've said tonight, remember that talent is God-given, and we treat it with humility. And fame is man-given, and so we need to be very grateful for what comes our way. My second ending, I wrote a little limerick. There once was a man named Jim who never thought life was a whim. The importance of education became his dedication, and he never took his eyes off the rim. Thank you.
I'm his grandson, Ross. Just wanted to say a few words. If you knew my grandpa even a little bit, you knew how much Indiana State meant to him. As Fritzy said in the video, it's part of the fabric of his life, for sure. Could rarely catch him out in public not wearing something with a Sycamore's logo on it. And I know, for me, and I know a lot of people, other people feel the same way, but a lot of our conversations either started or ended with talking about the basketball team or football team or something, Sycamores. And he really was interested in every program. Knew what was going on with baseball, football, track and field. You'd even catch him at softball games sometimes. But the basketball program was what he connected with the most. Became close with Coach Waltman's staff back in the day, and would bring me and my brothers to practices on occasion. And most of you know that Coach Waltman's practices probably weren't the best place for an 8 or 9-year-old to be. But I appreciated that because I got to know guys like Coach, like Dick Bender, like Rick Ray, like Coach Richardson, who I get to work with now, which is pretty cool. And that's part of the reason why I'm trying to break into the profession myself. Those coaches and then players like Matt Wren, Michael Menzer, Nate Green, and then later David Moss, those guys were heroes of mine. And I got to know them because of him. Loved doing the radio with Fritzy, later the TV with Jason, but I think he enjoyed being a fan in the stands a little bit more. For one, he could use a little more colorful language to describe what was going on. And for two, I think he enjoyed just taking in the game with his family. You'll notice that nobody's really spoken about his accolades as a player. That's just not something he talked about very much. He was more interested in the relationships that he built, and the stories that he told were always revolved around those relationships. He'd probably be thanking a lot of people if he was here, a lot of people I don't know, but for sure he'd thank Ace and Fritzy and Wren for their friendship and for driving him on those long road trips with the basketball team. He'd thank Coach Lansing for his friendship and their morning coffees and conversations they had. He'd thank Coach Waltman, for sure, for their long and lasting friendship that I'm sure is continuing up there right now. Last but not least, he'd thank his family, who have followed his lead and become just as ingrained in Sycamore athletics as he was. So thank you. Thank you to Indiana State, the athletic department, for putting my grandpa Jim Waugh into the Hall of Fame. He lived and breathed Sycamore's athletics, and having that recognized is special. So thank you.
Lila Ross, thank you. And that is one hell of a conversation Jim and Royce are having right now. Our next inductee for the 28th class, Harlan Lautenschlager. A 3-year letter winner at Indiana State in the early 60s, Harlan Lautenschlager was the steady influence at first base for Paul Wolf's Sycamores, who won 2 championships in those 3 years. The lefty was a 2-time All-Indiana Collegiate Conference selection in '63 and in 1964, while being named the NAIA All-American in '63, becoming the first Sycamore baseball player to be named All-American. In 1963, Harlan led the Sycamores in hitting with a .402 average, 22 runs batted in, 35 hits, 17 runs scored, and 4 triples. In 1964, he led the Sycamores in 5 offensive categories, including runs batted in with 22, triples with 4, and home runs with 3. His defense wasn't too shabby either, leading Indiana State with 172 putouts at first base and a .974 fielding percentage. Harlan was an all-star selection in 1963 in the Central Illinois Baseball League, playing for Champaign-Urbana, before returning to Indiana State to finish out his senior year. He would sign a pro contract in June of '64 with the Milwaukee Braves. Once the playing days were over, he took his baseball intelligence to the high school ranks, guiding Terre Haute South for 7 seasons, finishing with a mark of 114 and 56. Harlan led by example, starting the tradition of Indiana State baseball All-Americans, and that also paved the way for him to be inducted into the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of our Athletics Hall of Fame, Mr. Harlan Lautenschlager. Harlan's had a little bit of bloodlines into Indiana State. At this table, 6, 8 graduates. Son played here, son-in-law played here, grandson played here. Granddaughter graduated from here recently. That is Sycamore Blue. Harlan, thank you. Congratulations. Our next inductee into the class, the 28th class, Felicia Johnson. Quiet, reserved, internal fight. Words to describe Felicia Johnson when she arrived at Indiana State in 2010 from Indianapolis. Having to sit out her freshman year, Felicia made it known early on she was going to be a force to reckon with in the Valley.
She couldn't practice with the team, but she interacted with Adam Judge, our throws coach at the time, a lot. She became very, very self-disciplined. I remember when she did her visit, and I remember telling her parents that she would get a degree here. We would allow her to work hard enough to get that, and that was never a question. She probably put in more study hours at the AEC than any other student athlete we've had. And I think that discipline that she developed for that side of her life was on the athletic side also, and that's why that led eventually to NCAA championships and to being on the Olympic team.
She was a 3-time All-Missouri Valley Conference selection in the indoor, a 2-time selection outdoors, and in 2013 claimed the indoor and outdoor championships most valuable field athlete. But it was in 2011 that she put herself on the map, winning her first of 2 national championships in the weight throw.
In college, she threw multiple events. She had shot put, discus, hammer, indoors weight. She had a little bit of everything, so you have to go from event to event and you have to shake off what you did before if it didn't go well, or if you did really well, how do you handle that high? And yeah, she was calm under pressure and was good at handling her emotions in a tough situation.
She still holds 3 school records, the indoor and outdoor shot put and the indoor weight throw, and is second in the discus. Felicia made her first Olympic trials appearance in 2012, and then in 2016, with a throw of 63 feet, 1 1/4 inches, placed her third and a member of the USA Summer Olympic team.
We were very, very happy. I was very happy, and just tremendous pride that she had come through our program and then she had reached that level.
Jeff and I were actually camping. So we didn't have a TV. We had our cell phones sitting by a campfire watching the marks pop up, and we're like, she's sitting in qualifying position, and one of the other really good girls was ready to throw, and we're like waiting for the mark to appear, and you're just sitting there watching your phone, and she did it. We're like cheering, and it's pitch black in this campground, and everybody around us was probably like, what are those guys doing? And to see sitting in the dark at a campfire, and Felicia Johnson just qualified for the Olympics, so it was a pretty cool moment.
Quiet, reserved, with an internal drive that cannot be matched, has led Felicia Johnson to the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Hall of Fame, Miss Felicia Johnson.
All right, so first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and also giving me another opportunity to wear this blazer because it's just sitting in my closet the whole time, so thanks for that. But like I said, I would like to thank everybody who helped me along the way, from my friends, family, coaches, from high school all the way up until now, Dr. Larry Judge over there. They've been a huge support system for me throughout my athletic career. Especially here, I've had some of the best training partners that I could ever pretty much ask for during my 4 years, and teammates and coaches here at Indiana State. Okay. I'd like to give a huge thank you to my parents for letting me train full-time after I graduated, because not too sure how many parents would do that. Let their kids throw for a full-time job, so a real job, I guess I would say. So thank you to them for allowing me to do that after I graduated. I know it was kind of weird probably explaining to their workers, their people that they work with, that their daughter was a shot putter, so thanks for that. But so basically, I like to say during my senior season, was coming close to an end, I was thinking I didn't know what I wanted to do next, and a lot of other people were thinking what I was going to do next. They were always asking me what I was going to do next for my outdoor season. Some say I should turn pro, and I didn't know exactly how to do that. So I talked to my coach, who was Erin Gilreath at the time, and she basically told me, once you're done throwing for Indiana State, you just turn pro. And I was like, cool, that sounds pretty awesome. So it was a little rough to start out with, because it was just a huge difference from college, where people do everything pretty much for you, schedule planes and all that stuff. So that was a little bit of a learning curve, but I think I've adjusted pretty well now. So the last thing I like to talk about was people always ask why I chose Indiana State and track and field and not basketball or anywhere else. I first got my letter from Adam Judge, who was the guy recruiting me at the time at Indiana State, and I was like, what and where is Indiana State? So that's pretty much the first thing. And I always joke that when I was getting recruited here, they had a blue track. And I was like, oh, I went there because blue is my favorite color. And people were like, oh, okay, sure. But they really did a good job of recruiting me. There were other schools, of course, but they did a good job making it feel like a family. So I think that's why I chose here. And I'd like to talk about my visit a little bit. On my visit, my senior year, I remember coming down to Terre Haute, and the first thing I remember is the smell coming off the interstate. That was probably the most memorable thing that I remember about that. The first thing I was like, oh great, this is nice. But pretty much it was like a standard visit. We meet with coaches, have dinner, they feed you and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. And then we meet with the athletes so we can get to know them better and everything. And little did I know that my visit would be a party. So I thought it was pretty cool after that. So I was like, oh, cool, I'm like 18 at a college party. It's nice. But pretty much after that, we met with Coach Garland over there, and we had a chat. And he basically told us, you know, we get the offer, and he basically say, everything paid for and $500 for books. And I was like, okay. So he gave us a paper, and he told us to sleep on it and then get back to him. So as we were driving down back home, I asked my parents, is that good? And they go, heck yeah, that's good. So I was like, okay, that's great. So that's why I think I chose Indiana State. That, and it was kind of close for everybody to get to see me compete and everything. So, and as far as I picked track over basketball, I didn't want to spend 4 years down at the post asking for people to not pass me the ball. So that's pretty much how I made that decision. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. And also, if you want to help me or my coach, Dr. Larry Judge, we still are competing here. And if you guys want to help donate or anything for Tokyo Olympics, we do accept checks. So thank you.
How many checks? Our next inductee into the 28th class of the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame, Clint Barmas.
They're in the big leagues.
This ball jack, deep left field, way back, take a good look. You won't see it for long. A walk-off, two-run shot from Clint Barmas.
Vincennes, the only, at the time, our assistant men's basketball coach was from Vincennes, and he came into the office there and says, hey, we're going to recruit Clint Barmas from Lincoln, good athlete, good basketball player, and I think he's a pretty good baseball player. And I said, okay, that sounds good. If he wants to do both, I'm all in favor. And so Clint signs to play, and to be truthful, I hadn't even seen him play baseball.
So we're searching for a shortstop, and we're digging around. Dennis and I are talking on the phone one day, and he said, hey, I think I might be able to help you. He said, I've got the Barmas kid, and he played the outfield for us last year. Played a little infield, I think, in summer ball.
So Mitch came down, and after that first workout, we both kind of looked at each other. And I remember saying, man, if you take him, you're going to get a great kid. You know, he can do a little bit of everything, but if you're going to play him at shortstop, you might update your resume.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You didn't tell me that ahead of time either.
I think it was after our first game, because we went into Kentucky and played somewhere, and just a cold, miserable day. And Clint was voted MVP of both teams that day. In a doubleheader, he was 7 for 9. He had a bunt hit, a double, a triple, and a grand slam, 9 RBIs, stole 4 bases, scored 6 runs, and made 5 errors.
From an athlete to a major leaguer, Clint Barmas knew no other way to get on the field and to stay on the field than to work at it. The Vincennes, Indiana native played just 1 season with the Sycamores, but what a season it was. Hitting safely in 42 of his first 48 games, including a school record 30-game hitting streak. Barmas also was among the Missouri Valley Conference leaders in no less than 6 categories the entire 2000 season. He was the conference's Newcomer of the Year in 2000, a first-team All-Valley selection, and an All-Region selection. He still holds the school records for assists in one season by a shortstop, 192, and he led the Sycamores in hitting with a .375 average, 63 runs batted in, 93 hits, 20 stolen bases, 18 doubles, 7 triples, and 10 home runs. He was drafted by the Colorado Rockies in 2000, made his major league debut in 2003.
I remember some of the players used to make fun of him because he would play the ground ball and make the throw to first during BP like it was a game. He never let up. He only knew one way. And a lot of the guys, I think, gave him a bad time because I think they thought he made them look bad because nobody else had that desire.
All he knew how to do was work, and that work has put him into the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Athletics Hall of Fame, Clint Barmas.
Wow, I didn't exactly expect that. What a tremendous honor it is to be here, to be a part of this, and I can't thank you enough for involving me in this and to be with this group of inductees. It truly is an honor. There's so many people I have to thank that helped me get to where I'm at today, and I'd like to start with my wife. She's been my rock. We got 2 beautiful kids, Wyatt, who's 12, our daughter Whitney, who's 9, and traveling around the country as much as I did and as much as she had to because I made her so that I could see my family as much as possible. She was a super mom, and she still is to this day. So I thank you for that, babe. I love you. I'd like to thank my family and friends for coming. I'd like to thank for all those people that supported me throughout my career. Wow, it's been quite a run. I've been done for 3 years now, and it still seems like yesterday that I was showing up to the ballpark to try to get ready and stressing like crazy on how I'm gonna get a hit that day. But there's a few other men that were in this show that I'd like to thank that are sitting at my table tonight. A few coaches that were a huge part of what got me to where I'm at today, and without you guys, I honestly don't believe that I would have done the things that I did. You guys helped me get to the point where I was ready to go into pro ball, because out of high school, I was a kid that, I was lucky to go play college baseball. I was lucky to go play college basketball. That didn't last very long, but it was still a blessing, and I did enjoy it. But this group of coaches, with the knowledge that they have, a couple of them are still doing it today and passing on their knowledge to a lot of young players. It changed the game for me, because coming up, the way that I was raised and how I was taught the game of baseball, no offense, Coach Beard, Coach Lopez, I love you guys, and thank you for all that you did for me as well, Coach Carey. But it was see the ball, hit the ball, and catch the ball and throw the ball. And I did it as hard as I could, as fast as I could. But when I got to the college level, that was when it really started to click for me. They taught me the game. They taught me how to play the game. I started learning the game a lot more. And it was just the foundation that I needed to start my professional career. And I thank you guys so much, Coach Conley, Coach Hannes, and Coach Warren, for all that you did for me. As a player, I truly believe, sorry, I truly believe I wouldn't be here today without you guys. Thank you so much. I do have to recognize one other man while I'm sitting here trying to catch my breath. He had the most impact on my life. That would be my father, who passed away in 2010. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But I know for a fact I wouldn't be here without him. All the time that he put in to working, whether it was basketball or baseball, and just the work ethic that not only him but my mom had instilled in me to play this game. Moving on from that and trying to catch a little bit of my breath here. Going into pro ball, taking that work ethic, there were 3 keys that I live by on a daily basis, and I believe that I'd had that early on, thanks to them. But we call it ACE: attitude, concentration or commitment, and effort. You bring those 3 things every single day, good things will happen. And when I say that, I mean a good attitude and a lot of effort and a lot of hard work, and commit to whatever it is that you're trying to do. I can say that I live by that on a daily basis. Once I got into pro ball, and it bought me opportunities that most players may have found themselves going to AAA or even out of the game. But staying with it, the coaches that I played for knew that I was going to show up and I was going to work. And honestly, I feel like it bought me opportunities. My attitude, showing up with a positive attitude every day, was not easy. We had some struggles, especially when you're going through a little bit of a slump. It's not always easy to show up with a happy face and to be in a good mood. But you try to show up and know that today is going to be the day that it's going to turn around. And that being said, those were pretty much what I lived by through my career, and I was fortunate enough to hang around and trick them for as long as I could, which was a few years. But that being said, what you put into this game is what you get out, and that's what I live by. Again, thank you so much for having me here. It means a lot to me. Go Sycamores.
Our next inductee to the 28th class, Boy Rodriguez.
Bob Warren, a team that has averaged almost 40 wins a season for the past 11 years, but this is their first trip to Omaha, Nebraska, and batting cleanup the third baseman, Boy Rodriguez, a sophomore from Bayamon, Puerto Rico.
One of the sweetest left-handed swings anyone has ever seen from Puerto Rico. He made his way to the Midwest and helped change the identity of a program. Boy Rodriguez, with one swing of the bat, put the Sycamores into Omaha and put the program on the map.
And that was one that was exciting, not only for watching Boy play, but for our whole team. I mean, for us to win there and to go on was incredible. And it happened so fast, and now looking back on it, you can't even think about it because it was so fast, and to enjoy it. It was over like that. Next thing you know, we were going to the World Series. But the professionalism of his hitting and his playing was outstanding. And you never knew what was going to happen at the time, but you knew you had a chance if he was up to bat.
He didn't ever question his abilities or whether we would win or whether we would have success. It never entered his mind. And then when you saw him swing the bat, it didn't matter what anybody thought. The pro scouts would say, well, he can't run. He doesn't run well enough. And my input was, if you hit it that high and that far, running speed is a minimal consideration. So it didn't matter how many strikes he had on him, you were going to have to worry if you were the opposition what he could do to you.
A freshman All-American in 1984, Rodriguez would become a two-time All-Missouri Valley Conference selection in 1985 and 86, an All-Regional selection in 86, and the all-time leader in 3 categories to this date. He had 48 career home runs, including 20 in 1985, and he scored 82 runs in that season. After the 1986 College World Series appearance, Boyd played with the USA team, led them with 8 home runs. He was drafted by the Montreal Expos in the 4th round of the 1987 draft. He not only played in the United States, but in Japan, Mexico, and Korea, wrapping up his career in 2005. The sweet swinging third baseman helped put Indiana State on the baseball map, and now Boyd Rodriguez has put himself into the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the Hall of Fame, Boyd Rodriguez.
I'm nervous right now. I'm very nervous. I'm very shy also. So, I have a lot of pages, John. A lot of pages. First, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. It is an honor to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I could not be more overwhelmed. I'm not going to try not to do what you did, because I'm not going to. I'm truly humble. First of all, I'm going to try to thank the people by stages of how I got here. How do I got to Indiana State? And my first 2 people I gotta thank is Doug Jeanette and Pam Jeanette. They came to see me, or they were at the Cold World Series in 1982. He came to my dad asking if I wanted to come to Benton Central as a player, which is kind of illegal to recruit for high school. So, but we're not going to go there. No, we're going to talk about that. My mom said no my first year, my junior year, but then my dad convinced her that it was very important if I wanted to pursue baseball as a career. So they actually made me as an exchange student because I, needed to learn English. So they opened their home for me. Carol and Jerry Rose also opened their home for me. I stayed with them the season. I stayed with Carol the first half of the season, or the first half of the year. And I want to thank them, because without them, I wouldn't be here. Because then Doug Jeanette, Bob Warm came to see a game and with the Crow. And they saw me play, and that's how I got here. So I want to thank, of course, the main man, Bob Warren, for recruiting me and teaching me there's more to baseball than just fielding and hitting. There's also lots of running. We did a lot of that the first year. But John was telling me a story that I don't remember because I'm 39. And I have some senior moments at one point or another. And I believe it was my first year when he's telling me a story that I asked him if I joined the track team or if I joined a baseball team. And I went on rambling in Spanish. But then he replied back to me, "Get on the line," in Spanish. Who would argue with that? So I got back on line. And that also helped me overcome when stuff gets hard. There's always a tomorrow. There's always more running tomorrow. But no kidding aside, that part of working hard helps you when you get to the professional level. Because although you're competing in a team, it's not the same thing as competing when you're competing in a college. And you got brothers all, together.
in baseball, everybody is a brother, but everybody's playing individually because they want to get to the next level. So when stuff gets hard, that taught me a lesson that you have to, kick your heels and giddy up, because it was going to keep on spinning. The world's going to keep on spinning, whether you get on it or not. It's just going to keep running around. So because of that, I learned that I can overcome any running. I think I did more running in Japan than I did my first year in, and it was because of John Garner. We went to a party, and Andy Gelfie, and we got busted, and the sheriff that busted party is one of his good friends, and next thing we know, we're just sitting on a line, starting running 4 miles a day because of a party. I didn't want to go to the party. And here's my testimony. I had just shown up that day from American Legion World Series, and I was tired. I didn't want to go to the party. But they said, you got to come to the party, go meet all the guys. So I went. 30 years later, I'm still having wake-up nightmare, another one. But I appreciated the learning because it makes you who you are. And that actually makes you, when tough gets tough, then you can handle that toughness too. I appreciate that. Stephen Grope, he was my third base coach. And all who knows him, he was bigger than life back in the day, just as big as his body. But I was 6 feet tall, maybe 6 feet tall. They say I was 6'1" in the baseball cards, but I'm basically 5'11" 3/4. And I weighed 167 pounds. But every time he give the signals, he'll go like this. And he made me believe that I was 6'4", 220, hence all the home runs. My dad at one time said to me, home run hitters drive Cadillacs. Base hitters drive Toyotas. Little did they know that Toyota now is, worth more than a Cadillac. So I want to thank you both for allowing and recruiting me and giving me the privilege to become part of the university. I gotta thank my teammates. Made me feel part of a family away from a family in my house. We have a really tight unit in my home in Puerto Rico. I think my mom had 11 brothers and sisters, and we had a huge family. So when you come here, now you got 24 brothers. John and Bobby Zine, we were here the first year in freshman. They forgot to mention I was freshman All-American, by the way. So John became, and Bobby Zine, also freshman All-American that year. We became like the Three Musketeers, and for a long time, we were really tight, and I want to say that there was not one day that we were not together. Actually, we got caught cheating one time too, right? So they made my life, and being away from Puerto Rico, which I was detached from Puerto Rico just 2 years, very close. All the players, Mike Eberly, Jeff Buell, Bruce Lautenschlager. We're not going to talk about the party though. That party, we can't talk about that party, right? There will be 1, 2, 3, 4 people here that will, maybe 5. Jeff Buell too. That's a story for later. But they took me in to the point that we went hunting in Jeff Buell's family grounds, also water skiing and inner tubing at his lake. I think they were trying to kill us. because they were doing 60 miles an hour and we just doing somersaults on the water. But our group was so tight, all together, you know, we got along great, and that's, I think, why we made it actually to the College World Series. We were really, there was no selfishness, there was no egos, there was no, I'm gonna show you up, I'm gonna show somebody up. Everybody was really, really tight, and they made it. I believe today I told the team, I had a little talk with them, and that unity destroys teams with all the enemies in the world. That unity is far better than anything else in baseball or at any sport. Clayton probably testifies to that. What happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse. So Shelly became part of the Three Musketeers, because then Bobby Zine kind of started doing his own thing. So the hunting, I believe my dad, I called him up one time, and we don't hunt in Puerto Rico. So they're all hunting, and they said, you gotta get a shotgun. I said, okay. Called my dad, I said, I want a shotgun for my birthday. It's not your birthday yet, but it's coming up soon in April. He says, okay, I want a shotgun. It's about $200, $225. He says, okay. So we go hunting, and I come back all tore up because of all the brush wire. So we went back to the store. Now it's $600. My dad calls me up and said, go get the scissors. I said, for what? Just go get some scissors. I said, okay. So I go get the scissors. Now what? He goes, go get that car and cut it. Because they have pushed me to buy all this hunting gear. I didn't hunt. And we were just hunting in the woods. I believe one time, if you recall, we were shooting rabbits, and then a buck, about 500-pound buck, came out of the barn. You remember that? That's the type of unity, and that's what I'm trying to explain, that we were so tight and so close that it made my life awesome at this school. It was 3 years, but it made it look like it was 7, 8 years, because it was so fulfilling. Plus the running did some part of that. I want to thank the committee, John Sherman, and the Hall of Fame committee for inducting me. It's a privilege, it's an honor. I don't know if you're doing it because you need ethnicity in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you need a Latino in there.
We're good.
Boy, I take it. I will not, as I said, I'm gonna go from who got me here, but then these people, I have to leave it for last, because I will do what Clint did, and I don't want to do what Clint did. My mom also passed away in 2008, and I think her and my dad were really the rock of my life. My dad put a bat in my hands when I was 4 years old. I didn't know crap about baseball. I stood there, my hands left-handed. He's not left-handed. Nobody in the house is left-handed. And I think I have my hands backwards. And he goes, well, if you're gonna stand like that, your hands gotta go this way. So he introduced me to baseball. He took me everywhere. He drove me everywhere. He bought all the equipment I needed and really drove me everywhere. Him and my mom gave me wings to fly, to go to another country with a family we didn't know, with 2 families we didn't know, to Indiana, which is literally another world, from Puerto Rico. We don't have snow in Puerto Rico. So, but they gave me the wings to fly. And I want to thank my dad, and I know my mom upstairs, she's very proud. Oh. I had something in my throat. My jacket is tight. I haven't worn one of these since '05. My beautiful wife, Lori, my 3 beautiful kids. I have to read this because if I don't read it, I'm gonna get emotional and then I won't finish. And I would go like Clint, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna try to get over it, like reading like I'm reading from a book, and then I will get through it like it was a book, and then I won't get emotional because it's a book. So my awesome wife, Lori, her beauty and her full of patience with me. She's been with me 27 years. I had to convince her and lie to her because she didn't want nothing to do with baseball players. So I met her in, I want to say late 87, 88. I hit on her. She was no part of it. 89, she didn't recognize me. She's with a friend of mine. I said I was a driver's ed teacher. True story, cannot be making this up. So she goes, driver's ed teacher? I said, yeah. Well, you know, the Latin players, the Latin people that come and don't know how to speak English, I help them. I'm the middleman. And she bought it. 27 years later, we got 3 beautiful kids. And there's a saying in my house, if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you will not. Either way, you're right. We instill that into our kids, and I think that before I met her was instilled in me because I was 100 nothing, and I hit for power, which is kind of rare. So I believe, because I wanted to drive a Cadillac, that I had to hit home runs. So she's the best wife, partner, friend anyone could have or ask for. My son Elian, my daughter Alyssa, Aniana. You're the force that drives me to be a better human being. My dad, obviously. And I went through that already. My mom. I did that at the end because although they're the first, my mom and my dad is the first people that instill baseball in me. I had to do it at the end because I wouldn't be able to get through the speech. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. John, the committee, my family for putting up with me. I mean, they know. And if you talk to them, you know. John, I won't tell a story. I know you're crying. He's been, we were like, I don't know how to explain it. Like a donut and a milk. I mean, they just go together, coffee and milk, coffee and sugar. Obviously, I was a sugar all the time. But he was truly one of the best buddies and one of my best friends that we played against. We played against each other in Double A. I didn't even get to hit him or face him. I would have taken him deep, but I didn't face him. And we went shooting again with the hunting. And we were talking about that a little while ago, and he goes, we went shooting? And I'm like, are you having a senior moment? I said, yeah, we went shooting. And he goes, do you remember the time we went horseback riding and Bruce's? And I said, was I there? And he goes like, yeah, I think you were. And I'm like, don't remember it. But we did everything together. He was, and I'm sorry it's taking us 25 years to get back together again. I was sort of, I played with Atlanta 4 years, and I got sidetracked from the person I was because I was a little upset with the game and the policy on the game, or you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you don't get what you deserve because of basically you don't kiss the ass you need to kiss. But I have never been one. You can ask Bob Warren about it. I'm sorry cursing, my wife is shaking her head off. Oh, and this is going on a video. So I'll end that with that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And it's been too long before I came back up here. I just need to go hunt some more.
What Boyd doesn't know is we've been searching for him for about 3 years.
Not allowed to have Facebook.
Apparently not. Or a phone. With some closing remarks on tonight's event, my pleasure to introduce the Director of Athletics here at Indiana State, Mr. Sherrod Clinkscales.
What another wonderful evening. I just wanted to say something about, John Sherman. Those of you that watch ESPN3, we are now doing all of our games, men's, women's basketball, baseball, softball. We've kind of taken over as an athletic department, and I went to John about 3 months ago and said, John, can you do the women's games on the TV? He said, sure. And John does a lot of different things, and I say that to say that, John, you've always stepped up. This was another just first-class event, and you just get it done. I just wanted to say thank you very much. You did a hell of a job, John. Thanks. This is a tough job. Be careful what you ask for, you might get it. And I just thank God for the opportunity to serve you all and be the athletic director. But I cannot do it, and I say it over and over again, like my president said, you can't do it without someone who supports you. And Dr. Curtis, I'm not the easiest person to certainly get along with. I always push, but I appreciate your patience in allowing us to be able to be the front porch of the university, and that's our goal. So thank you for all your support. Last, but certainly not least, I just want to again thank the Hall of Fame inductees this year, Clint, Felicia, Harlan, Boy, and Jim. You guys set the tone, and this place is a very, very special place, and we have big shoes to fill, and we will continue to endeavor to do that at the highest level and be consistent. So thank you all for all you do for Indiana State, and go Sycamores.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about one more final round of applause for the 28th class inducted into our Hall of Fame. That is our program for this evening. We thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock. The men take on Illinois State. Please travel safely. God bless and good night, everybody. If I can have the Hall of Famers up here with their plaques.